Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grodd's Reviews again. And on today's review, I'm going to be reviewing the 7-issue mini event from DC, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. So, without further ado, let's get down to it. Hello, welcome to AussieVerse and welcome to Grodd's Reviews. Each week I'm going to try to do a little mini book review on a current series or one I read in trade and so on and so on. So again, welcome to AussieVerse. This is a show where all comic book fans, creators, lovers, or anybody in the pop culture, we've got plenty of other good content to come here and watch us talk about this. And please like and subscribe as you're watching this if you haven't already, and write down a comment, maybe a suggestion, or even if you've read this before. And yeah, so first of all, I'll do some plug-in, and I will say go check out our Instagram page, AussieVerse_Comx. All right, go check out our page and you'll get updates of when our shows are going to be on and so on. So like that page, and all our designs, all our thumbnails, and all our creative is done by A51 Design. So please go follow her on Instagram too. Good content and so on. So yeah, that is the plugin. So now I'll give you a brief sort of review on Dark Crisis on Infinite Earth. So this is issue. I've got 6 and 7 out. So I didn't get the whole lot out, but yes, this is an event, the big event, DC event of last year. It's supposed to shake up everything, and yeah. So I'll go through a few things. I'll go through just break down a bit of the story, and we'll try not to spoil a bit, but there will be a few spoils in here. Then I'll go down to villains, favorite non-title character, which this one will be just my 3 favorite characters because this is an event. And then overall, and I'll give it a rating. So this is written by Joshua Williamson, who is a big writer now at DC, and he was sort of steering the ship of DC pretty much last year. And this is his big event that he was building towards. And the artist is Daniel Sampere, who really, really good work. I'll get to the art later on in this show, but really, really good. If anything, if you're going to get this, get it to look at. It's fantastic art. So a breakdown of the story of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. So basically there's a darkness and being held by a villain called Pariah, and he basically wipes out all the Justice League. So they've gone to little sort of Earths, imaginary Earths, and they're trapped there, and they don't know they're trapped there. So he can sort of control and destroy all and bring back the multiverse, I think was his plan. So he eliminates the Justice League. So it's up to other characters to step up, like the legacy characters, like Nightwing, one of my favorites, John Kent, Yaya Flora, who's Wonder Girl, all characters like this. And the only one left of the Bendis's Justice League is Black Adam. And sort of, you get a few other appearances from the JSA here. There's a lot of characters to go through in this if I don't have time to go through all the characters, but it is a big build-up. And he sort of can possess people with the darkness, and then they'll join Pariah's army. And yeah, so it's just big fights and stuff like that. There's tie-ins. I read some of them, not all their Life Without Justice League ones. I didn't read all of them. I read some. I read the other tie-ins, especially the green one, because that's Swamp Thing, one of my favorite characters. So I got that. I picked up that. That was cool. So yeah, so this is 7 issues mini. It finished in December. So we're now on Dawn of DC. dawn of the DCU now. We're on currently in the DC universe, and look, I do have to admit that I wasn't 100% sure where this was going through the event. It did feel, especially the last two issues, it did feel very rushed. It felt like they ran out of issues and they just sort of had to plonk everything in there. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the story because it basically steps up Nightwing, which is just Nightwing fans have been waiting and waiting and waiting for you. So this steps him up as the number one guy, the guy that's going to save the universe, the guy that's perfect in every way to lead this next team, whether it be the Titans, whether it be Justice League eventually and stuff like that. So I think that was a very interesting development story throughout this, and which I really loved, obviously, because I love Nightwing. Issue 2 in this was amazing. So I really enjoyed issue 2 because it was a big fight between Deathstroke and Nightwing, and it was cool. Like the actions, the art, the sort of the battle between them, you could just feel the intense and the sort of passion behind the fight. It was a really good fight, and yeah. So we'll move on to our first topic of this. Now I've given you a little bit of a rundown. The first topic is villains. So the villains, as I said, it was Pariah with the Greater Darkness, but there is a little bit of a twist, and won't quite go down to it. But in the end, basically, it's Deathstroke, and Deathstroke creates an army of the darkness, the bad people that have been turned to darkness, and fights, or everybody left. It's the heroes. So it really ups the ante for Deathstroke. So I'm thinking, if Deathstroke fans out there, this would be kind of cool. He's got a bit of a different look. He's got the mohawk look, and he's very. They've definitely leveled him up strength wise, and like it's interesting. Like I wasn't 100% sure where it was going for Deathstroke for this, and I still wasn't 100% sure, I guess, but I still enjoyed it. I guess being an event thing, it's quite interesting to have Deathstroke as your number one big bad. Of course, Pariah is for the majority of it as well, but towards the end, it swings towards Deathstroke. So I think that's really cool. It was cool. It definitely upped the ante for Deathstroke, and Deathstroke fans out there. I'm not the biggest Deathstroke fan, but I do think he's cool, and I do think he needs to be more of a villain these days, because I feel like in comics and that these days he's sort of got a more sympathetic side. I like him more as a villain, so this definitely does that. So my next segment usually is my favorite non-titled character in this series, or the books that I've read. So say if it was a Batman book, it would be somebody that wasn't Batman in this series. But this is an event, so I am just going to name my 3 favorite characters in this, because there are dozens. So I'll go with number 3. I am just going to go with Deathstroke again, and I've been explained why. I thought it was a really cool development in Deathstroke. I'm interested to see what happens to him after this. If people have read it, I'm sure you agree. But if you haven't read it, go read it, because this is whatever happens to Deathstroke next is going to be a very interesting chapter. Number 2, I'm going to go John Kent. I think this was a big up in John Kent as well, like rising up when Superman's not around, his dad's not around, and he does do a very heroic fight against Doomsday as well, which I thought looked, again, amazing on paper. Amazing. Just the artwork in this. I can't stress how good it was. And, of course, the number 1 character that I loved in this was Nightwing, again, because this uplifts Nightwing to the number 1 player, basically, in DC at the moment. This is exciting times for DC, for me, I guess, but not for everybody. But just that it's in a different direction, and Nightwing's going to lead it. So I quite like that part. So, yeah, they're my 3 favourites. So I'll go overall. Look, I didn't love it because I was a bit confused of the directions it was going in. It did feel rushed, but I did enjoy every month, and every time it came out, it was one of the first books I read, because I just loved to look at it, because, as I said, great art and everything like that. So, look, I was interested to see where it was going, and still there was a few plot points that they just didn't elaborate, or they ran out of time and they just didn't want to continue with it, because there was a stage, Black Adam, who's a massive jerk in this, as he usually is, but I didn't like Black Adam in this, but he sort of leaves the Titans, goes, you can't fight this great darkness, and so he goes and finds another team, and it's the Legion of Doom, and I'm just like, and then it finished on that, and I'm like, and it's Lex and it's Captain Cold. I was going, yes, the villains are going to play a big part. They didn't. It was all that ending for nothing. They all got taken over by the darkness, except for Black Adam. But Black Adam did do a very noble thing towards the very end, and again, I won't spoil it, but he kind of was one of the heroes in the end of it. So Black Adam redeemed himself. So I'm going to go on to the rate out of 10, the writing. So the writing by Joshua Williamson, who I do like as a writer. I think sometimes he's a bit hit and miss, but he's a very passionate DC fan, and I respect that, and I respect of all the characters that he brought into this, and I respect the direction he's trying to go. So I'm still going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Just purely because my excitement levels were up there each week. As I said, it didn't quite hit the marks that I expected it to have been an event, but it was just okay. So I'm just going to put it around that mark. And as I said, I love Joshua Williamson's writing. He's one of my favourites at the moment, and he's got a lot of cool projects coming up. But this just felt rushed. I feel like he needed a couple more issues to sort of break this story down. And then I'm going to go on to the art. So Sampere, I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 because, as I said, if anything, if you haven't read this or you're going to go buy the trade or the hardcover or whatever, the art in it alone is worth it. It is amazing. Just every page, especially the fight sequences, there's big full pages, which I swear to God, you blow it up and make a poster out of it, it would be so cool. And anyway. So yeah, that's the end of my review of Dark Crosses on the Infinite Earths. I hope you enjoyed it. I would recommend it. As I said, the art alone is just fantastic, and hardcovers. Definitely, you'll get a brief idea of where DC is going, sort of, in some ways. But yeah. So anyway, like and subscribe. Comment if you've read it, or your views, or if you've got recommendations for me, go to our Instagram page. Thank you for tuning in to Grodd's Reviews. And for the outro, I'm going to give an outro of our sponsors. So Comx are our sponsors. If you haven't heard or you haven't seen any of our shows, I'm going to put up a clip to end this with that's going to give you a review of Comx. And they're basically an Australian comics company. Go check out their website. It's got great comics, great content. And I will see you next week for my next review. Stay tuned. Got it.
This show is sponsored by the Comx Shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.